So a little bit about Chris. He is a retired computer consultant and author of 5 published novels. He has a unique way of researching the subject matter of his books by experiencing it as much as possible. His last 2 novels have included the LST-325 and Huey helicopters, which we all, I think, in this room know quite a bit about. Chris has volunteered with the LST-325 Foundation for a work week and the most recent cruise tour. He also volunteers with the Army Aviation Heritage Foundation, which gives Huey helicopter rides at air shows. Very interesting. So during the recent cruise on the LST-325, Chris signed and sold his novels in the gift shop, donating 60% of the profits to the ship. In the 3 weekends of public tours, 1,400 books were sold, generating a donation of $7,500 for the LST-325. Pretty incredible. So Chris is going to give a presentation on his unique method writing style and some of the stories gathered on the most recent cruises on the Mississippi River with the LST-325. This discussion promises to be entertaining, so if we could give a round of applause, Chris Underwood.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll get to the next slide. Yes. Oh, well, first off, tomorrow is Veterans Day, so I'd like to recognize any veterans that we may have in the audience, if there is anyone. Good. Well, I'd like to say that I am not a veteran, although I've stood at the crossroads probably twice in my lifetime, and but another path was taken, and sometimes you wonder if things would have been different. I mean, I certainly could have used the discipline back then. But now I'm finding a new ways to serve, and that is through volunteering. And so we can start off with the work week that I served with the LST. You can see on the spots there on the floor of the deck where we had went through with a metal brush and scraped off all the rust, and then put down some primer coat on it. That took about 30 of us 2 days of doing that, and then another 2 days of putting the final coat down. So that was a good week for us, and it was a really interesting pathway of learning about the ship and meeting everyone that was aboard the ship and learning their little stories as well. And here I'll show you a room that we worked on. We also did some scraping and painting in this room. This was actually an auxiliary galley for the ship, where they fed the troops that were on the ship. You had the crew aboard the ship, and then you also had all the troops that they were transporting. So they had to have an extra galley room for them as well. And you can see, but now I don't have an after picture. That's too bad. But you can see how much work it was to really clean up just a little room of the ship. And it was really the interesting part of it all was that during the work week we had a very structured day about it. You know, you had reveille at 7 in the morning. That was over the loudspeaker and waking everyone up and bringing everybody around. And then you would also, it'd end around 5, and we would be able to have some time to talk. And these were the bunks that we slept in as well. Yeah. Like that one was mine there, the lower one. But when we were on the cruise, it was a completely different story because we were working around the clock, having to keep the ship going, and so having the curtains around the bed and everything allowed you to be able to sleep during the day when everybody might be working when you were to get your shift in, and so it was very interesting. Yeah, that was mine. That's my bunk. That's my thing there. But then also working with the ship. Or with my books, I wanted to learn more about the Huey helicopters. So I found a group that does Huey helicopter rides at air shows, and they were at the Dayton Air Show. So I went to the Dayton Air Show and just kind of showed up and hung out with them all day. I just didn't leave, and they ended up taking me under their wing and invited me back to volunteer with them. And so I showed up at some other shows. I was at the Owensboro show and some other shows And I would just help them set up their tents and their tables and everything for their merchandise and all their little things that they needed to do to prepare for their air show. And it gave me a great opportunity to be able to talk with the pilots and be able to get them aside and get some good stories out of them. Because in my story, it's all set in the wintertime. So I needed to have some unique stories for a Huey helicopter, because you normally see those, over a lush forest or something. And so to see something in the cold in the wintertime, I found a pilot that had served in Alaska, and so he had some really good stuff for me. And it was really really interesting. He told me some stories, like one of where the whole front windshield was covered with ice. You couldn't even see through it. It was just kind of showed up all of a sudden and had that moisture, and it just froze and it became opaque and you couldn't see. So he had to turn the helicopter sideways and fly sideways to be able to see where he was going. Now, of course, I had to use that in my book. And then in my most recent book, I wanted to introduce a new type of helicopter. I wanted to bring in the Cobra attack helicopter. Now, this is only a two-seated aircraft, and so up here in the gunner spot is where I was able to ride, and it's $800 for a ride, and I paid it because it was worthwhile, and they rolled it out just for me. I went to their airport in Atlanta, Georgia, and they rolled it out just for me, and we hung out for the whole day. We had lunch together. I got some really good stories. I wanted to have some certain scenarios that I wanted to talk through, and they helped me out quite a bit. And even when it was all said and done, I was able to send a couple of chapters to the pilot, and he edited them for me. He helped me get the terminology correct, and showed me all the mistakes that I made. And then they have invited me back more recently to sell my books at their air shows too. So I've been able to help in the merchandise tent and sell a few books there as well. And it's been really neat. I've really enjoyed the whole process of it, and just learning what they need to do. And also for part of my learning about the river, I needed to learn about the locks. So I was introduced to the manager of the Cannleton lock, and great guy, and he brought me in, and we did a nice little tour of the lock. Gave me an opportunity to be able to just stand around and watch and talk with the workers there, get some more terminology down. That's what it comes down to, is getting the terminology, but also being able to feel it, be able to see it, taste it. And I've really got brought into the waterways. It really does something for me. I'm a sailor, so I like to be able to be around water, but this is a unique type of water to be around. I'm not sure which lock that is. That might be the Cannleton lock. But yes, but through my books, I go through several of the locks. So I wanted to see each one. The Louisville lock was really interesting. Let's see, and then what else do I have? Yes. So my last book, The Attack of Niagara Falls, I needed to go there in the wintertime. So I need to see it when it's cold, and that's a unique way to see it. It is cold. So this is in January at the Niagara Falls, and you can just see how everything is just so covered with the mist and everything about it. And the mist was something that I needed to bring into account for the helicopters, just because the helicopters would have an issue with all of that mist rising from the frozen water. But really what I needed to learn about was the power station, because my story gets into the Niagara Falls power grid. And so I needed to be able to see the power grid, power station, and see how it operated. Also see that there is two of them. There's one on the Canada side, there's one on the U.S. side, and it is 8 miles downstream from the falls themselves. So it's not right there real close. So it's actually kind of where the trench ends, because it's all a big canyon that was eaten away by the falls. The falls have eaten it away over the past 12,000 years, and so the falls began in this area back in here, and it was really neat. I had a great time with this portion of that. I got a little bed and breakfast there that stayed there for about a week, and was able to spend some time with it and talk with folks in the area. And then I also went to the Buffalo. I'm sorry. Why am I having trouble with that word? To the New York, Buffalo, New York. Yeah. So they have a naval station there. They have a historic museum there of floating ships. They have a destroyer and a battleship, and this is the destroyer, the Sullivans, and that is the original story of Saving Private Ryan, of where there were 5 brothers who were serving on one ship, and the ship sank, and they did not survive. And so afterwards, they commissioned this destroyer and named it the Sullivans in their name. And I got a private tour of the ship. They don't really do tours in the wintertime like that. So I was able to work out a private tour on my own. And I asked permission to use the ship in my story, which they gave to me. And I wanted to use the ship just as it stood. I wanted it to be as it stands right now with no motor in it. I want to be able to use it as a main piece of my story. And he thought it was pretty cool what I do with it. But really, why I'm here is to talk about my tour with the LST. That was in September. That was 30 days aboard the ship. It was a great time. It took us 6 days to get to our destination from Evansville. We went down the Ohio River to the Mississippi, and then went upstream and fought the current for a while. We were only going like 3 miles an hour for a bit of it, because you were fighting the current, until we finally got to some locks where it kind of slowed down the current, and we were able to make some better time. But we made it all the way to Muscatine, Iowa, which is almost at the Quad Cities. And like I said, it took us 6 days. And we were working, we would be 4 hours on and then 12 hours off for our shifts. So we were working at night and day to get us there. And we had 60 crew members aboard, and all of us were working. It was very interesting. And my work was working with the wheelhouse, which was helping the captain. I helped to run the throttle on this ship, so the captain would be able to control the steering. He had a little toggle for control of the steering, but just like in the old days, he was up in the pilot house. You have to call down to the engine room and say, half ahead or full measure ahead, and we had to do that through the locks. So you had the throttle mechanisms through the locks, and he was doing some fancy stuff of doing reverse in one and forward in the other, and to bring us to the wall. And I helped us through 3 locks by running the throttles, and that was very it was stressful, but it was a very learning situation. That was a really neat bridge there, and it had some very cool sights. The sunsets were just beautiful. And then also when we landed at a location, we would spend several hours bringing out the ramps and making it safe for the patrons to be able to come on board the ship. There were jobs to do when we made port, and each one was different. Every place that we landed at had a different kind of setup to get people on board the ship. So it was all working through all of that. And I sold my books aboard. It was great seeing younger folks that were interested in reading. I was just so into that, because reading was such an important thing to me when I was younger. And really, from what I've learned is that to be a writer, the only prerequisite is being a reader. You know what you like, to read, and so you write what you like. But it was just great to see younger folks that wanted to read. Yeah, going through St. Louis was a great thing. I really enjoyed all of that. The place we stopped at, the suburb of Alton, was very cool. And it had a casino there that took $200 of my money. And but those things happen. But also the thing of it was, while we were on the ship on this tour, I was finishing up my my last book. And so during that, I'd sent it off to my editor, and we had some time before we left for me to work on it and do some hammering out. But I was also editing it while I was aboard the ship. And so I added some stories, some things that were happening aboard the ship. But actually, when it comes right down to it, it was a little bit too taxing for me. It was very stressful. I had a deadline and all of that, and it kept me away from other work sometimes. And it was disappointing in that fashion. So I would not do it again. I would not be trying to edit and do other things while I'm aboard the ship. I'd want to be able to just enjoy my trip on it. Yeah, some great sights. I believe that that bridge there was at Cape Girardeau. Very nice, very cool, and just great opportunities for photographs. I had some really great shots that I felt that that came out really great, and like the morning, that's a sunrise in the morning. It was just beautiful. There's some beautiful. I got another great shot on that with the Jeep. Yeah. There's some really great sights, and also just seeing how the Mississippi River is so much different than the Ohio. It's much wider, and they also have built out stone dikes on the side to control the current, and also keep it from eroding away the sides of the river. And I learned a lot from being able to spend time with the captain. I half of my time of being in the wheelhouse, I was just keeping the captain company. I would be sitting up in the pilot house with him and talking to him, keeping him awake, and getting him coffee if he needed it, all that sort of thing, and great conversations and the pathways that they had found to getting there, to being a captain on the LST. I mean, some of them were towboat captains. One guy had driven a casino boat for a long time, back when they were forced to take them out onto the water, as part of the gambling rules and all that sort of thing. You had to take it out on the water, and so he was a gamble boat captain. He had lots of good stories for that too. Boy, I don't think I can work any of those in. But yeah, it just seemed like every time, every mile was just an opportunity for a picture. And I don't have any pictures of the canal. They have a canal through St. Louis that takes you aside for the freight boats. That was really neat. And it seemed like everywhere there were eagles just flying around us all the time, which I thought was very cool. I'm already to my book. Wow. All right. Well, we'll have questions later. So I want to give you the little elevator pitch of what my book series is. It is the Cold Winter. It is a disaster fiction series about the power grid going down, and it's actually something that has occurred before. Back in 2003, we had a power outage in Dayton, Ohio, that power companies were not communicating well, and it just kind of imploded and it cascaded across and took out the entire Niagara Falls power grid. And so in my story, that occurs again. And so from about Indianapolis across to the Atlantic is dark. So, and they keep on trying to bring it back, but it just doesn't come back on. So because of a snowstorm coming in, and the power just doesn't come back for the winter. And so my story, I follow a group of families in the central Ohio areas. They're just trying to help each other, trying to help the folks that are showing up on their doorstep. They're stranded on the freeways and things like that. Just trying to do the right thing. Even when doing the right thing doesn't work out great. They keep on trying. And I have a big supporting character of my story, which is a Catholic priest who kind of brings in some morality to the story and a little bit of faith and hope so that it is it's more of a hopeful kind of story and trying to do the right thing in a situation like this. And but then by the second book, they start to realize that there's more going on than just a power outage. There's a coup against the country happening, so they join a Minuteman militia to fight back, and the militia has a Huey helicopter. And then the third book is where the LST comes into the story, where that militia takes possession of the LST, and they go up the Ohio River with it to rescue a VIP and bring him to safety. And they have some battles in the locks, and try to use the ship for everything that it can do. We even landed on Wheeling Island and have some military equipment roll out the front, and we have a battle on Wheeling Island. And then the fourth book of the series is where the LST is still going down the river to deliver that VIP, but we have some new helicopters that come into play, and they go up to Niagara Falls to liberate the power station because it has been taken captive. It's kind of an older machinery. The whole thing of it is that modern machinery can't be trusted, so they're using older equipment to do the job. And I do, not to give away too much, but in the LST, I bring it home. I bring it back to Evansville. I'm not going to say what condition it's in, but I bring it home. Yes, so that's the basic gist of the story, and it by the end of it, we're trying to turn things around, trying to get the power going again, and that's pretty much the presentation that I have, and I'm willing to take some questions. Yes, thank you.
Does it continue after Niagara? Are you writing?
Well, I've thought about it a little bit. I have thought about it. Like I said, we're trying to get the power on, so and I've kind of beat this whole story to death. So I've kind of to change it to a recovery. You know, what can go wrong in a recovery? So that could be a fun. That could be something interesting to write about. I think I could have some fun with that. So there's a possibility.
There you go. Yeah, don't leave us hanging.
I left it.
Four words ago, didn't they get the power on? Turn the switch.
I do leave it open. I leave it open for that to happen.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Although I do have a good cliffhanger ending on it, of course. You got to do that. Yes.
Good.
Yes, yes.
So do you see yourself going back to the LST for the work week?
I do. Like I said, it was very trying. It was challenging being aboard, and also, you know, I did it to myself of having extra work to do on board. So I won't do that again. But yeah, it was really an interesting process and a very learning experience. And surprisingly, I mean, about half the people that are on board are veterans, and the other half are not. They may have a relative that had served on an LST or something like that, and they wanted to experience it and keep it alive, keep everything going with it with that history. So I felt that I did fit in with everybody, so it was all very good. Yeah.
Chris, did you at any time feel you were in danger? Because I look at the barges going past where I live, and they're walking on steel decks in wind and ice and snow and rain, and every once in a while we lose a barge worker.
Yeah, and yeah, when you're working at the edge of the boat, or, you know, doing the locks and docks and everything, they're very careful about that. Everybody that is outside is wearing a life vest, and they wear them tight. They say that's the main thing about the barge workers, is that they don't wear their life vests tight enough, and it just comes off. It's one of the first things that happens. And so, yeah, they're very stringent about it. Even when we are working to bring at the dock, or to bring out the gangplank to do that assistance there, just bring out the gangplank, and we're right there at land. It doesn't matter, you know. Everybody's wearing a life vest. They do everything to be careful, and also when we are going through the docks, through the locks, they don't allow us out to walk on the deck. You know, they keep everybody to stay in, stay where they're at while they're doing that work. Yes.
Do you have any women who go on the
That's something that they just recently been able to do. They finished another bunk area so that they can have their own separate space. And yes, I think we had about 4 or 5 women who were crewing with us. They're mainly helping with the galley, and I think a couple were wives of other crew members. And yeah, it was something that they wanted to be able to do. And I think it was very helpful. I think it made everything just ride a lot better. Just having some women aboard.
Of course.
Yes.
What influenced you to write these particular stories, this particular time, this particular
yeah. Well, I started writing it back in like 2012, and I had some concern about the grid back then, and that's when it was. They had the Prepper TV show. I don't know. It was like the Doomsday Preppers was on, and so it just seemed like the grid was in the news, and so, you know, being a conspiracy theorist, you know, you think, oh, they're always giving you warnings, and so you think, okay, so something's going to happen, and so I started getting concerned about it, but eventually it kind of fell off the news as much. But yeah, so that's what got me into it, and also I started looking at that power outage that occurred in 2003. And it happened there in Ohio. So in Ohio, the power was out for like 3 or 4 days in our area. So it hit us a little bit harder. And so yeah, so the grid issue, especially the Niagara Falls grid, seemed to be a concern. And to create a story that was not an entire blackout of the whole country, just a portion of the country, made it more realistic for me. That just be a disaster that was just not managed well. And it seems that we've had a few of those. So it just seemed like to be another opportunity another good storyline. So
Tom,
yeah.
did you have a question? You look like you.
The LSTs are flat bottom boats. You had any problem with seasickness?
No, I didn't.
I guess because they'd be in a river, it was pretty.
Yeah, by a river it wasn't bad at all. Yeah, there wasn't any issue, but I would have to imagine that boat out on the open water, that would just be horrible. It'd be like a bobber, like a cork bobber, just all over the place. Even now, it does have the water ballast on the side that can help to bring it down into the water a little bit more, and so it might get more of an opportunity to not rock as bad. But I would just have to think that would be a horrible thing to be riding on in open water.
My dad was on an LST in World
Yeah.
War II, and I had an opportunity to take him to tour that LST where he showed me his bunk and everything that he did and everything.
Yeah.
He still would not talk much about it, and after he passed away, I was able to find, in his files, the ship diary and all this stuff.
Mhm.
And whatever. It was interesting.
Yeah, it's I've heard that a lot from people that their father didn't talk much about their experience on it and wish that they had. And actually there was a person who was aboard the boat who had come across his father's diary, and he was trying to go through it and transcribe it and enter it into his computer and trying to get everything about it.
He drove the landing craft up to the beach and then with the live soldiers and brought back the wounded soldiers.
Oh, really? Okay, so he So he landed with it on D-Day?
Well, no, he was in Okinawa.
Okinawa. Yeah, there was a lot of them over there as well. Yeah.
That's why he doesn't talk much about it.
Yeah, that was a really bad one. And yes, there was someone aboard who was talking about the death march or something that was on Okinawa. Yeah, that was just a horrible thing. And I guess there is a reenactment that happens each year or every couple years in Arizona where they walk all the miles that they did. Yeah. Must have been horrible. Yes. Yeah.
Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit. So I know
Okay.
you've got this Cold Winter series, but you have another publication, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have a little murder mystery that I've written as well. It was kind of it was a more of a comedy. And oddly enough, it really helped me through my father's passing. I started writing it while he was in the hospital in ICU, and then I continued it after he passed. And it really helped me through everything. But it was a really cool little story about some guys who have created a lifelike looking alien, and they leave it on the beach for people to find it with cameras inside. Trying to go viral on the internet with their reactions. But their plan is messed up by a murder on the beach the night before. So it's a little bit of a murder mystery where the sheriff is trying to solve both of those mysteries, one funny and one serious, and they come together in the end. And I converted into a screenplay as well during COVID, one of my COVID projects, and I won some awards with my screenplay version. So I felt pretty good about that one, trying to do something with that.
Tell us about the process of writing a novel.
Oh man. It's actually a very painful process. I mean, you hate it. You think it's not any good until I don't know, about the 3/4 point, and then you start thinking, okay, it's coming together. I'm starting to like it now, and I think at the beginning of this last novel, I think I rewrote the beginning so many times and changed what was happening in it. So yeah, my process is that I have to get away from everybody and do my own thing. I actually stayed here in Tell City at the Blue Heron Winery. They have some cabins there, and I stayed at a cabin there for a month in February this year, and was able to really get that novel going. So yeah, it's a painful process, really.
Do you write from a storyline? Do you have a plan?
I usually
Almost
have
like
an outline.
Chapter.
I'll have an outline of where I'm wanting to go, but then sometimes it gets a life of its own as I get going with it. It starts going in other directions, and I like it when that happens. It shows that it's really organic, and it's been funny that some characters have become more prominent in the story than I expected. I just liked working with them. And it was kind of how the Huey helicopter came into the story. It was just I had a character who was an ex-pilot, and I just liked working with that character a lot, and so he became a larger entity in the story, and so got to go with the helicopter then. But yeah, it's quite a process. It's I kind of abandoned my family a little bit for that, to be able to get away. Yes.
So I have two questions. The first one going back to your being at the Blue Heron for a month.
Yes.
How long does it take to normally write a book? Is it like, do you Jack Kerouac it and just sit there for 3 weeks with that long piece of paper? Does it take like a year about, or?
This one took right about a year. Okay. This latest one, and that's been the shortest amount of time I've had. I mean, the first book. Well, of course, I was still trying to find my voice with the first book, and it took about 8 years of really working at it. And then the third book with the LST was about a year and a half of working with that, when I really had a focus in on it and going at it. But I have to say, like I said, the first book I was really finding. I had written the first book. I have 10 complete versions of doing different things on the first book of that. So it was it went really crazy. And also, I had written it in first person. Everything was in first person. I do this, I do that, and I'd given it to a publisher, and they came back to me and said, you know, your first person voice and your narrative voice are getting confusing. You know, you can't keep them apart, and you're just not a good enough writer to do that. And yeah, that hurt a little bit. So after several months of sulking, I went back and said, well, you know, maybe he's got a point. Maybe I should do something different with it. And so I went through and converted the entire thing to third person then. And through that is when the Huey helicopter guy was born into the story. Just someone that I knew, and I needed needed another character. I needed a ham radio operator that would bring out all the little conspiracy theory stories, you know, instead of doing it in the narrator. And so that was how that kind of all happened. But yeah, converting it over was a really neat process. I kind of, after I got into it, I really enjoyed doing that and being able to polish the story better that way. And so now I'm feeling good about writing in third person rather than first. I like it that way better. As you can bring a lot more into the story rather than just what that main character sees. It really does open up the story.
So are you a character in the books?
Yeah, I would have to say that I am. I'm kind of the main character. It's not completely me, but a lot of my things. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The publisher told me that the main character was not very likable, and so that hurt a little bit too. But yeah, it's a lot of me, and also in my story, he has a son who is on the spectrum, and I do too. And so it was kind of cool of bringing that kind of into it, of how of the communication between them with a child on the spectrum, and also the child becomes a hero in some parts of it as well, just from his autism. He just that he just doesn't understand what a lie means. You know, what is a lie? He just can't think of what that is, or to be selfless. He is completely selfless about everything to help anyone that needs help, whoever they are. So yeah, so I bring that into the story as well. So yeah, it's a little bit of me. Yeah.
Favorite authors?
Clive Cussler. Clive Cussler is a favorite. Of course, Ian Fleming was always my favorite as a kid. I always read that. And I can't think of his name. Well, Lee Childs. Lee Childs is a big fan of his. And I can't think of the old McAllister McDonald was his name. I think he wrote. He had the Travis McGee series. It was Travis McGee lived on a sailboat and solved mysteries, and that was one of my older ones I liked a lot.
Do you ever give museums autographed books to help them raise money?
I have, yes. Yes.
Without giving too much away, sorry, of your possible fifth book in the series, is there like a particular, I guess for lack of a better word, mode of transportation that you want to look at for like the fifth book? So you've looked at the Huey helicopter, the Cobra, the LST. A U-boat? I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it's whatever I come across sometimes. I actually even use a P-47 Thunderbolt in this last book too. So whatever I come across, I find I try to get it in there. At first I just couldn't get the Thunderbolt in there, but then I found a way to do that, and that worked out. That really worked for it. There were some other things. It was like I wanted to use the Evansville tank as well, but I couldn't get it in there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that we're going to have some different modes. So going to be maybe more on the ground. So we'll see. We'll have to see how that goes.
I recommend an e-bike.
An e-bike, a little scooter. On the little scooter. Yes.
Did you do the same sort of in-depth research for your mystery? You know, were you building aliens and seeing what people would do to react to them?
No, no, but I do have, what I do like to do, I like to use actual locations. I don't want to make up something, and that's also why I use the LST, is because I wanted to have an actual physical boat. I didn't want to make up some story of some, battleship that was on the Ohio River. I wanted it to be a real, something real. So in my mystery, it's set in Holden Beach, North Carolina. So being there and experiencing the area and everything like that was part of it. It was part of the research of it. But yeah, I want to be able to see the locations that I go to. I have a big scene in Louisville at the lock there, so I wanted to be there and just see the lay of the land, what it's all about. You can only do so much with Google Earth, But yeah, it's all part of the process and getting it into my brain, I guess. Yes. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Anything else? What?
What was your favorite? So you've been on the LST, you've been in the Huey helicopter, and the Cobra. Which one was your favorite?
Well, I'll tell you, the Cobra was pretty exhilarating. I'll tell you, he took me out flying around. Like I said, I went to their airport base, and so he had worked out a deal with this farmer that he was allowed to attack their barn. And so we attacked their barn. That was pretty neat. That was a pretty neat process there. But no, the LST was a good thing to be able to spend a lot of time on, being able to really get the feel of it and what it was all about. And and it was very noisy and all the different noises. Yes.
Any weird dreams or anything like that?
I didn't really have. Oh man, my sleep was completely destroyed on
Okay.
between all the different shifts and everything else on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sleeping patterns were completely messed up. No, I didn't really have any, but I did. There were some weird noises. I'd be sleeping through when they're going through a lock and it, bang up against the wall. Woke up you don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And so, but I have heard some stories of some odd sightings on the LST.
Okay.
They do say that there is a ghost aboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Didn't get a chance to see him though.
No supernatural experiences.
No
Okay.
supernatural experiences. Yeah. And I didn't try to bring anything like that into the story either. But yeah, nothing supernatural. Yes.
Are you going to try to turn any of your books into a movie?
Oh, I've considered at least getting the first book into a screenplay format. I think it has some real possibilities there. But really, the only way to really get it to a film process is for it to be very popular. People have to have a real interest in that story, and it does have some legs for it, that's for sure, because it starts off very slow and brings you in to learn about the characters, and then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, just like what you would expect to see in a movie, always trying to outdo itself. Mm-hmm. So it does have that. It does have those legs to it. So.
Did you start these when you were teaching? I think you said you taught school for a while. Is that right? Before you became a writer, or did you start?
No.
back
I was
then?
I was a computer consultant,
Oh, okay.
and I I have a degree in computer science, but also had a minor in English, and I was always into writing when I was in college, and I wanted to do that, but you know, unless your name is Stephen King or something, it's really difficult to break into that sort of thing. But no, my consulting work brought me to Evansville for a while. I worked for One Main Financial downtown, and so it brought me in and gave me an opportunity to learn about the LST. And I was just finishing up my other book, the second book of the series, and I thought, wow, that'd be a neat direction to take it. And when some of the people there read the book and saw that. Saw where it was going, saw that it was generally clean and that sort of thing, and so it was something that they would be fine to have the LST be a part of.
I have an idea for you.
What's that?
I was on a Katy trail, and there was a homeless man. He had 4 dogs. All these dogs are dogs that he had rescued. And, he was driving up and down it's 200 miles long, but he was going to Sevilla or something there. They said it was some work that he could do there, but he was being homeless. He would go from town to town doing various jobs and stuff. But what impressed me is that he rescued 4 dogs, and they were running along with him. He had a little motorcycle, and he was pulling a little cart, and it was just you could be that guy.
Yeah, I haven't.
Travels with 4 Charlies.
Yeah, I haven't really brought any animals into the story. A lot of the survivalist books I've seen, people have a dog and that sort of thing. That could be a possibility. Could be a possibility.
You could solve some murder mysteries.
Yeah.
He was already here with me, but taking on these dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure you don't kill the dogs off.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Don't do that.
That's the thing. You can't let it. You can't. You can do anything to people, but you can't kill the dog.
I mean, if this is how far the red fern grows, I don't know how
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was a heartbreak.
Yes.
They made a second one.
I know. I'm like, why did you think this was good enough to take a second one?
All right.
Possibilities. All right. Well, thank you so
Certainly.
much, Chris. This has
Thank you.
been an absolute pleasure. Thank
it's
you
been
guys
great.
for coming. And now you've got the opportunity to purchase your own series.